So my video is a presentation, and it's about housing conditions and how they affect mental health. And I have some book references in there because I like books that much. And disclaimer, I talk about mental health issues and all that stuff. So I'll record. Wait, share my screen. Okay. Hello, my name is Emily Fong. I am 17 years old, soon to be 18, and I am an incoming freshman at UC Berkeley. And through the NVR Summer Academy, we learned about many things, some of these being air quality, water justice, water rights, energy, climate justice, and food systems. My experience in this Summer Academy has been great, rated 10 out of 10. So I will now share my screen so you guys can see my slideshow and what I've been working on for the past 2 days. So as you can see here, I will be talking about housing and how housing conditions affect mental health and some other things here and there. So table of contents, as I mentioned, how housing conditions affect mental health. Number 2, since I will be talking about how housing conditions affect poor and middle class people, I will also have to go to the other side and to the other side of the scale and kind of talk about how rich people, meaning more fortunate, I guess, people behave and all that kind of stuff. And then I will be talking about health, like physical health, and how it's harmed by, housing conditions and who is being harmed by such conditions. So I will officially start my presentation by reading to you this quote that Leo Tolstoy said, or it's in one of his books or something. So it says, "Men pray to the Almighty to relieve poverty, but poverty comes not from God's laws. It is blasphemy of the worst to say that. Oh, it is blasphemy of the worst kind to say that. Poverty comes from man's injustice to his fellow man." And I really like this quote because it has the word injustice in it. I like that word a lot. So one, effects. I'm not sure if I wrote the wrong effects word. So at this point in life, I am sure that we all know that housing and mental health are linked. So what do I mean by this? A poor mental health makes it hard to cope with a housing situation. And then being poor or being homeless worsens your mental health. So it's a cycle that it's never ending, and it's terrible to be in such a cycle. So let's talk about some examples of poor conditions to live in. So say housing it's loud, it's uncomfortable, and it's crowded. People who live in this condition are prone to developing sleeping problems, which is not great. And sleeping problems are known to worsen mental health, and it can make existing problems harder to cope with. And then there's the other side of the scale, but still, we're still in like poverty side. There's the other side of the scale, people who are living alone in bad conditions. So they might experience loneliness. And because of this loneliness, they develop drug and alcohol issues. Well, some of them do, not everyone does, but a lot of them do, unfortunately. And this can, of course, cause a low self-esteem because you're living alone and you're not doing well mental health-wise. So to kind of reinforce what I was talking about, I'm going to make a book reference real quick. So this is Raskolnikov from Crime and Punishment. He really relates to a lot of the things that I talked previously about. His room is 5 to 6 feet long. And he once claimed that his home stirred up feelings of depression and misery. And he also stated that whoever went into his home would experience disturbance, nervousness, and anxiety. So his housing conditions really messed up his mental health because his mental health got so bad to the point that he wanted to steal. And because he wanted to steal, he ended up also committing murder. And this murder just made his mental health even worse. So he is a very unhappy man, and he is not doing well mentally. He's doing very bad mentally. But the point of this here is that it all stemmed from poverty, from being poor, from living in terrible housing conditions that you feel the need to do something about it. Sometimes it does not end well. But then again, there are also people who don't fall into such, bad waters. This is Rasul King here. He is also poor, but the way that he deals with his poverty is by not taking from others. So this means that he works hard to provide for himself. And since his mental health is a lot, better, he's doing better mentally than Raskolnikov. He looks for opportunities and is also willing to give opportunities. An example of this is when he told Raskolnikov, I have a job, you do half of my job, and I give you half of my paycheck. Nobody has to know. It's between you and I. And so his mental health is doing so much better. We can tell by that tiny interaction, which Raskolnikov accepted, by the way. So it's great. Not everyone has to fall into very bad situations because of poor housing situations. So number 2, behavior. Now we're going to be talking about, rich people. So consensuous. These are the big 5 characteristics. Consensuous, thorough, meticulous, diligent, organized. Neurotism. People with high levels of neurotism tend to be very nervous and anxious. Agreeableness. They have a desire for harmony. Extroversion, talkative, creative, curious, open to experiences, imaginative, curious. So wealthy people were tested in these 5 characteristics, and the wealthy showed to be more emotionally stable and less neurotic, meaning that they're more stable, they're not too anxious, they're not too stressed about anything. They are more extroverted, they are open to new experiences, and I guess this kind of goes back to the fact that they have the money to be able to go wherever they please and all that stuff. So they are less agreeable, meaning that they're less likely to shy away from conflict. If they disagree with you, they don't care, and they will let it know. They will let it be known that they don't agree with you and they don't mind. And they're more consensuous, meaning that apparently they're more organized and stuff. I got this from the media. Please don't quote me on anything. But the wealthy also showed to be more narcissistic. Surprise. And they also have a stronger interlocus control. A stronger interlocus control is kind of explained here, and I'm hoping that you already took the time to see that while I was talking already. Okay. So number 3, health. So most Americans spend about 90% of their time indoors, and 2/3 of that time is at home, meaning that it is very important to have good living conditions at home. But unfortunately, not a lot of us have that luxury. So poor housing conditions plus inadequate conditions means that there is an increase in the presence of lead, mold, mosquitoes, and there is poor air quality and overcrowding in a home. So what does this mean? This contributes to negative health outcomes such as chronic diseases and injuries. It's very sad, but it is true. Another issue that is in a lot of our homes, most likely, probably, I hope not, lack of air conditioning and heating. And these issues are associated with high blood pressure and respiratory issues. And there are also water leaks, meaning that there is mold growth in one's home, and this affects respiratory health and increases likelihood in asthma. And of course, there is also the lack of smoke alarms, carbon monoxide detectors, and fire suppressant requirements in a home. And this leads to deadly outcomes or great injuries, as you can see here. About 40% of in-home fires have that are deadly. 40% of them are because there are no smoke alarms. I'm sorry, I know that made no sense, but I have to keep going. So who was affected by all this? So as you can see here in these statistics here, Black and Hispanic people are the people who tend to have the highest poverty rates in the USA. So that is definitely something you need to keep in mind. And all of this is because of course, incomes. And as you can see here, it kind of goes back to what I just said. Hispanic and Black families have the lowest incomes. And what does low income mean? Low income means that you also, struggle to buy, for example, good food, healthy food, I want to say, not good, healthy food. And as you can see also here, Black and Hispanic families tend to be the households that experience the most food insecurity, meaning that in their communities, like in these communities, there are no food markets, for example. Sometimes we can't afford good, like healthy food and all that stuff. So we have to go with, for example, McDonald's and all that kind of stuff. Because surprisingly, surprise, surprise, in Black and Hispanic households, there's a lot of liquor stores, a lot of McDonald's, a lot of Jack in the Box and all that stuff, which is not too healthy. But there are no markets around in these communities, which it's not good. So that kind of concludes my presentation, but I do want to make a very interesting book reference. So this is something I found while I was reading Anna Karenina or Karenina, Karenina, it's Karenina. And it's kind of regarding living conditions, but I will not explain it because I don't have the time to explain. So they were talking about hands. Something as strange as hands intrigued me so much. So here's the conversation. So Levin, he is a country dude, a country boy. He says, look at it through a countryman's point of view. In the country, we try to keep our hands in a condition that makes them convenient to work with. For that, we cut our nails and sometimes roll up our sleeves. While here, people purposely let their nails grow as long as they can and stick on saucers instead of cup lengths, so that it will be impossible for them to do anything with their hands. And Stepan, he's like a rich dude, he lives like in this big estate, he says, yes, it's a sign that he has no need for crude labor. His mind works. So that's kind of like a backhanded comment he made there, which kind of goes back to the narcissism and like wealthy people thinking that they're better than like, less fortunate people and all that stuff. But whatever. This is the end of my presentation. This is a meme I found. And I hope that everyone in this Zoom meeting ends up living in one of these nice homes at some point. Let me stop my screen share. I hope you liked my presentation. I'm sorry that it was very fast and brief, but I am very tight on time. So yes, bye-bye.